All right, guys, here we are today, the Josh Crane Podcast. This is a podcast that's been a few weeks in the working, and I'm really glad that we get to sit down today and do this with my guest today, former standout in the National Football League, 1986 New York Giants. This guy came from the University of Kansas. He's got an amazing story. Super Bowl XXI, he's on the field. An amazing, amazing situation that will unfold in the long run. Has the ring to prove that he was there, but he didn't have it for a while. We're going to talk about that. Ladies and gentlemen, my guest today, Bobby Johnson. What's going on, man?
How's everybody doing out there in the world?
It's good to see you today, man.
Good to see you too, Josh.
Yeah, thanks for coming and doing this with me.
You're welcome, sir.
Man, so let's just by way of background a little bit, let's tell the folks, it was about 3 or 4 weeks ago now, we met for the first time.
Yes.
We had a steak that was a good steak too. It was a good steak.
I got to go back there.
Yeah, I hear you on that, man. But no, we sat down. You and I have a mutual friend, and he was gracious enough to make an introduction between you and I. And he had been talking to me about you for some time, and he said, "Man, you got to get this guy on your podcast. He's got a really interesting story to tell." And I was like, "All right, well, let's do it." We sat down and we broke bread a little bit and got to know each other. And I was just taken aback, man, by your story.
Thank you.
But let's start at the beginning, because you're actually a local dude, right?
Yeah,
I mean, you
born in Shelbyville, Tennessee.
Shelbyville, that's right, man.
Shelbyville.
Shelbyville, that's right. That's how we say it down here. Yeah, all right, man. So he's born in Shelbyville, and military family.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
My father's in the military.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And did you moved around a little bit?
Traveled around a little bit: Florida, Montana, Alaska. My older sister was in Tripoli, Africa. She got that opportunity.
No kidding.
Yeah, I wasn't born at that time, but they came back, and I was born in Shelbyville.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you'd kind of been all over the place.
Traveled a lot.
Yeah.
That's why I don't like moving now.
Yeah. You found where you want to be, and you stayed there.
I'm there.
Yeah, I'm with you. All right. So growing up, how many brothers and sisters do you have?
I have one brother that's passed away 5 years ago, and I have two sisters, one younger and one older.
Okay. All right.
Matter of fact, my younger sister was born in Paris, France on Christmas Day. That's how much we moved around.
No kidding.
Yeah.
And all of that moving was because your dad was in the military?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Yes.
Okay. So growing up, were sports always kind of a part of your life?
It was in my blood. From birth, I knew that. You know what I mean? Any kind of sport, anything with a ball, I wanted to do it. I watched sports from the time I could watch TV.
Yeah.
Tennis, golf, bowling, it didn't matter. Any competition, I just loved it.
Now, was that something like, were your parents sports people?
My father was. He played on that team in Shelbyville that won like 82 games in a row or something.
Okay.
So he was on that team back in the day.
All right. So it was, like you say, it was kind of bred into you.
Yeah,
then.
it was just natural.
Yeah.
My uncles played at Shelbyville. And,
okay.
So it's just
in
my blood.
All right. So what was life like for Bobby Johnson growing up? I mean, moving around as much as you moved around, I can imagine, every place you go, you're having to make new friends all over again and try to fit in all over again. What was life like?
It was kind of rough, but it was fun at the same time. You got to meet new people. Every 2-3 years you were moving, so it was interesting. You got to meet a different variety of people, all nationalities, all cultures, all religions. So that's why I just grew up loving everybody. You know what I mean? Because I never being that young and my father's in the service, I didn't know nothing about racism, none of that kind of stuff. You know what I mean? Yeah. I never felt that anywhere I was at, and still don't feel it to this day.
Yeah, well, so this is. I'm glad you said that, man, because I told you before we went live on this thing that I just kind of free form. We just me and you just talking.
Yeah.
Now there's certain stuff I know we're gonna talk about that people want to know. But I'm glad you mentioned that, because I mean you're a little bit older than me, born 1961.
Yes, sir.
And it's funny, man, because I think a lot of people today would look at you and they would say, "Oh man, because you're a black dude, like, oh man, you must have dealt with racism your whole life. It's so horrible, right? But and I think you even told us that when we broke some bread the other day. Like that's
racism was. I mean, seriously, I really didn't honestly know, because I went to school with every nationality there was. You know, growing up being in the service, you just never felt that.
Yeah,
like we're all here, you know, equal. It's no such thing. I didn't think, you know, but
yeah. And you say, but even today,
I still
and so because I can imagine, Bobby, some people would say, well, you know, maybe Bobby growing up and being on military bases, maybe that culture was different. But today, I mean, you can't even cut the news on without people trying to tell you that me and you ain't supposed to like one another just because of whatever, you know. But you're saying even today, that's not.
No, I just don't see that. It's totally impossible not to like somebody that, regardless of the color, it doesn't make no sense.
Yeah. That's great, man. That's great. And I think people need to hear that, you know, more and more, because we do have a lot of people kind of barking in our ear telling us that it is that way, that there is racism everywhere, and you know, everybody's trying to keep everybody else down and all that. And it's, you know,
there's nothing we can do about the past.
That's right. The past is the past.
We cannot change that regardless of what we try to do.
But that don't mean me and you can't eat steak together.
Exactly. And have a good dessert and all that.
Yeah, that was good dessert too. That's true, man. Yeah. Exactly. I mean, me, you, and Mike probably that night we were sitting in our chairs at home and not doing much.
Yeah, I put on some calories that night. Yeah,
that's good. All right, man. So you're moving around, making new friends every time. That's kind of a tough road at times. Was there one place that you were at moving all those times that you just really, really liked?
Well, once my father retired, but him and my mother got divorced kind of like a year after he retired. But East St. Louis, Illinois, was really I think I was like 7, 8 years old, and that's where I ended up staying until I went to college and all that. So that's where my best buddies are at. Basically.
Okay. East St. Louis.
Yeah.
What's that like?
That was a different kind of place. You know what I mean? I wasn't used to that. You know what I mean? I was used to just, different cultures and all that. But East St. Louis is strictly, African American mainly.
Yeah.
90% at that time. Probably worse now, but it was a culture shock. I had to adjust. You know what I mean?
How so? I mean, what was that experience that was just so different for you?
Because I mean, they actually, I hate to say this, but that city, kind of, they wanted separate. You know what I mean?
Okay.
They didn't,
they didn't get along.
Yes. The white kids in school got picked on. You know what I mean? Because it was majority black. Yeah. And I just,
that's just not what you. It's
just not right. Yeah, but nothing I can do. That's why I ended up going to a Catholic high school. Grade school and all that. So I wouldn't, everybody was, wasn't no, fighting and, hazing and all that kind of stuff, and, different cultures got along.
Yeah.
But the public high schools is totally
different story.
Different story.
All right.
Good people though, you know what I mean? But that's just how they were. I mean,
right. Well, and I guess probably to a larger degree, that's the way they were raised.
Exactly.
You were raised different from that.
Raised differently.
Yeah. So, East St. Louis, did your mom and dad both end up there, or did your mom just go there after the divorce?
They both ended up there. They were still married when we actually moved to East St. Louis.
Okay.
Then they divorced like a year or two after we got there.
Okay. And did your family stay there ultimately?
We stayed there. I went to high school there, college. Once I got out of college, my mother moved back to Tennessee.
Okay.
Because I didn't want to go back to East St. Louis. That's why I say if I wouldn't have went to the league, I'd have went to the service. You know what I mean? I wasn't going back there. That was just out of the question.
Okay. And after they divorced, did your dad stay in East St. Louis?
No, he actually moved back here.
Okay.
To Smyrna Air Force Base.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah, he moved back here.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. So you, you're up there in East St. Louis, your mom's there. I mean, over the years, were you able to stay close to your mom and your dad both?
Me and my father didn't stay too close. Once I got to, they say once they divorced, I didn't talk to them until I got to college.
Oh, wow.
You know what I mean? Because it was a whole lot of issues between them.
Sure.
But I mean, we end up being close. He's passed away now, but me and my mother were best friends to this day. You know what I mean?
Right.
After they separated, she's the one that had to take me all my practices and, and all that kind of stuff and keep me in, keep me straight. So that's my best friend. And my biggest fan. You know, Mama. You know how mamas are.
I know. I understand. I understand. Yeah. All right, so we end up East St. Louis. Where'd you go to high school?
Assumption Catholic High School.
Assumption Catholic.
Assumption Pioneers.
All right.
My graduating class was 100 people, about 100 and something.
100?
People.
Yeah.
It was a small Catholic high school.
Okay. But that decision to send you to Catholic school was
best decision I made.
And predominantly because your parents wanted to make sure that you were being raised with a culture different than what you were going to get if you were in the public school, at least. Okay.
Exactly. And I didn't want to go through all that,
Yeah.
I didn't want to deal with it. Because they were some rough high schools. I ain't going to even joke, you know what I mean? They were rough. And I didn't want to have to deal with that. I didn't want to have to deal with it.
All right. So sports in high school too, I'm assuming?
Sports in high school, basketball, baseball, football. We didn't have a track team, but I played every sport there was. Yeah.
Now, were you always partial to one over the other? I mean, was it?
Actually, my first love was baseball.
No kidding.
Yeah, my first love was baseball, but then it got boring. You play center field, you might not get a ball. So I said, I'm gonna stick to something that I can.
A little more action.
Yeah. Plus, I got recruited heavily in football more than I did baseball or any other sport.
Okay. So you graduate high school, and when you graduate, what's the landscape look like then? I mean, did you know you were going to college and where you were going to college, or was that kind of up in the air a little bit?
It was up in the air. Like I say, they didn't have multimedia people. They didn't know who I was. Nobody knew.
Yeah. What year are we talking about? When did you graduate?
1980.
All right, 1980. So yeah, there's no.
Yeah.
I mean, there's no highlight reels on Facebook. Hey, this is Bobby Johnson. Come down here and look at him. Right.
Yeah. Plus, I was only weighing like 145 pounds, 150 pounds, playing quarterback. You know what I mean? So it was kind of an issue. But my coach, like I say, hung in there with me to this day. Well, he's passed away now, but he was like my father. My football coach was.
Okay.
Coach Jim Monk, and I want to give a shout out to him. Actually, his sons or grandson coaches at Georgia, Tom Monken. Yeah. All the Monkins from Georgia coaches at Georgia. I think that's his son or grandson.
Okay. Yeah. So you graduate in 1980, and so how do you end up? Because you go to University of Kansas.
Yeah, well, I went to junior college 1 year.
Okay.
Because I didn't, I'm immature to this day. You know what I mean? I wasn't ready for college. I'm still, immature. So I went to junior college 1 year. Most people go 2 years, but I only went 1 year. Had a great, good season, and ended up getting recruited I was heavily recruited out of junior college. I stuck with Kansas because it was close to Illinois, so my mother could come to the games and stuff. Okay,
so, and I think I told you this when we ate, like, I'm not a big sports guy. I mean, I do jiu-jitsu and I lift my weights, but I don't know a whole lot about anything else, So I'm kind of, this is uncharted water for me, but you're the pro, so we'll make it work.
Former pro.
But so all right, so coming out of high school, you're not really heavily recruited because the times and where you're at and that kind of stuff, but you go to junior college for a year, and you get a little bit of traction. Yeah. People are starting to pay attention. I
changed the receiver, actually, because I played quarterback in high school, and I changed the receiver in junior college.
Okay. So when you're in junior college, who's recruiting you? Like
Kansas, K-State, Tennessee, Oklahoma, Nebraska.
Okay.
That's when it was the Big 8 back then. It's the Big 12 now, but it was the Big 8 then.
And what did that look like? What was that like when I mean, did you have people coming to you?
To the house, and you know how it goes, the recruiting stuff, coming to your house, meeting your mom, taking you out to dinner, all that kind of good stuff.
Yeah. Now, did you visit campuses also during that time?
Yes. Yeah,
okay.
Yeah. Actually, one recruiting trip, I threw up on the coach's foot. We were on the plane, and I was like, oh, it's bouncing. I threw up on his feet. I didn't go to that college, It was Kansas State, actually, our arch rivals.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I threw up on that coach's feet. I was embarrassed. But I didn't like flying. Back then, the recruiting trips, you was on them little, Cessnas.
Oh, like a little Cessna 172. You got like 2 seats.
Yeah, I ain't like that. Too much bouncing, man. I was like, oh, Lord.
Oh, yeah. That's like riding a roller coaster sometimes.
I don't ride roller coasters.
All right, so we end up at Kansas, and is that's predominantly just because it was closer for you to stay with your mother?
Yeah, and it was actually a great college, and good people. I felt good there. I mean,
yeah. All right, so what was college life like?
It was fun. it was fun. It was different too. You know what I mean? Because that's where I got to, all the cultures again. You know what I mean?
Right.
So I felt good. I felt wonderful on that campus actually. But like I said, it was different. School was rough. You know what I mean? I'm not I'm intelligent, but you know what I mean? Once I got to college, it was like a little harder.
Okay.
So
okay.
I struggled, but I didn't graduate, but I made it. I made it through. I should have graduated.
Okay.
I have enough sense to graduate, but I start once I knew that I had other options.
You started looking at those.
Yeah, I started focusing on football, strictly football. You know what I mean?
All right, I'm with you. All right, so you go to Kansas. You play for Kansas. Are you wide receiver when you were with Kansas?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, what's that like? How many years did you play at Kansas?
I played at Kansas 3 years.
3 years. All right. So what was that like?
We had some good teams. I mean, we weren't dominant. We went to a bowl game 1 year, but back then it was Oklahoma, Nebraska. You know what I mean?
Okay.
They were dominant, winning national championships actually back and forth. So we struggled, but we had some good seasons. We went to a bowl game 1 year. Great group of guys, friends to this day. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
So that was kind of like after high school meeting some more buddies.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I made more friends again. So that was cool.
Okay.
To this day, I still, like I say, we still in contact with my quarterback. My roommates were twins. We're still best friends.
No kidding.
Yeah. Karki and Marky. That was Roman and Romaine, actually, their real names, but we call them Karki and Marky. Yeah. We're friends to this day.
All right. So we got good experiences there at Kansas. So 3 years. What happens that you start to say maybe taking this thing professional is going to be an option?
Well, my senior year, we changed offenses. We went from like running a lot to we brought a new coach. They brought a new coach in that passed a lot, and that's what kind of put me on the map.
Okay.
Yeah, because we ran. The Big 8 back then was like run. But then, like I said, the new coach came in. We brought in an air attack, so that helped me a lot.
Okay.
To get noticed as a receiver.
Okay. And then so what's that process then like? I mean, you're playing football in college, you're a receiver, you're running an offense now that lets you highlight your skill set a little bit better. At that time, so what are we now? 1980. Okay, yeah. So how is it working? I mean, how are people finding you to make you even think that, hey, man, maybe going pro is the way to go?
Well, I think I was like either first or second team all Big 8 or something like that, and runner-up Big 8 player of the year and all that kind of stuff. So that kind of, like I said, I think I had like maybe 7, 8 touchdowns, 9, 10, something like that. I had like 1,200 yards, 1,100 yards. So that kind of, and that was a lot for back then. People didn't throw that much.
Right.
So I was grateful for the coach coming and bringing in that offense. Yeah.
Okay.
Like I say, it was still a lot of people way better than me out there on the other teams, But plus they were on better teams. And that's how you got looked at back then, it seems like, how good your team was.
Oh, okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because a lot of people from Nebraska, Oklahoma, UT, all them guys got looked at first. Willie Gault and all those guys, you know what I mean? So, I couldn't, complain.
But you still end up there.
Yeah. Actually, like I say, we talked about I wasn't drafted, so that let you know that I still really wasn't, high up on the board
right.
or nothing.
All right, so let's talk about that so people kind of understand. I mean, because I think the average person, certainly the average person like me that's not a sports guy, that doesn't really know the ins and outs of it, we just think that, all right, you come out of college, you enter the draft, and maybe a team picks you up, maybe they don't. But that's not actually the route that you took.
That's not how it goes. Yeah. Actually, I was drafted in the USFL before the NFL draft, but I only practiced a week because I was like, this is not what I dreamed about growing up. This is not the NFL. I mean, the USFL probably was a great league, still is. I think it's still around or something, like some form of it. But
okay.
I practiced for like a week, and I was like, this is not what I grew up dreaming about. This is not the NFL, so I quit. And the NFL draft came around. They thought I was still playing in the USFL, so I guess that might have something to do with me not being drafted too.
Okay.
But that was one of the best decisions I made. But my college coach he told me not to. He said, "You're making a big mistake if you don't stay on this team." But I was like, nah, this is not what I want. You know what I
Right.
mean?
All right. So, but we end up at the New York Giants.
Yeah, yeah.
Tell me how that happens.
Well, like I said, I had a couple choices: Atlanta, Dallas. Really, when you're a free agent, you can basically go try out for whoever you want to if they accept you. Let you come in. New York, why I picked that, I have no clue. You know what I mean? I have no clue why New York. I guess it's just because it sounded good. Because, I just wanted to play with it, regardless of where it was at, what team. I just wanted to play. And I just felt my best opportunity was there because they were like 3-12 or something. So I was like, they might be looking for some people.
Right.
Yeah.
So as a free agent, how did that process work? I mean, did you have somebody working with you that would contact teams?
I had an agent. I actually had an agent at that time.
Okay.
A gentleman named Jim Steiner. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. And I'm saying he would contact teams and say, hey, look, I've got this guy. He's out of Kansas, wide receiver. Here's his stats. Y'all ought to take a look at him. And if the team says, bring him down, I guess you go to their facility and you do like a workout. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
And then, like I say, you still might not get to practice with the team. They just work you out first. And if they don't want you to continue after that, then you go somewhere else. Exactly.
Okay. So you had a few options on the table.
Yeah.
But for whatever reason, New York sounded good.
It sounded wonderful. I just wanted to play, but I don't know. Like I say, I don't have a clue why I picked New York. I really don't.
Well, that's all right. I mean,
I think it was the record. You know what I mean? You kind of want to go where everybody's not. If you go to a team that just won the Super Bowl, you not. You know what I mean? You ain't,
they've got their mechanics ironed out.
They're down pat already. So you just want to go somewhere. You might at least get a chance.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that makes sense. So you're looking at a record, and you're going. I mean, y'all like 3-12.
3-12.
So I might bring something that y'all actually need, which allows you play time. And more than just saying, well, I'm on the team, like because you wanted to play.
I wanted to play. You know what I mean? I'd have been grateful to sit on the bench or whatever just to be on the team, but I wanted to play. You know what I mean? I never rode nobody's bench, and I didn't want to start now. I mean, that's just me. Right. Not being arrogant or nothing like that.
No, I get it is what it is, man. Yeah. All right, so so do you leave? So you played 3 years at Kansas. Do you leave without graduating and go ahead and go to New York?
Yes, I left for Kansas, New York in June
of '84.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so
school was out in May, but I stopped going like in March.
All right.
I'm just being honest.
I mean? It's been your journey.
I had to focus on working out and getting in shape.
Yeah. Well, you had a different goal then.
Yes.
And you it was within your grasp.
It was within my grasp.
Yeah. All right. So I've got to imagine that a kid from Shelbyville, that's lived in Montana, Alaska, basically all over the U.S., ended up in East St. Louis, but went to a Catholic high school to try to stay insulated a little bit.
Yes.
When you end up at the Big Apple, I mean, daggum, dude, talk about a culture shock. I'm sure
it truly was. I was scared to death.
And this is 1984.
Exactly. I was literally scared to death. I'm not even going to, I was like, oh no, what I got into. It was just too many people up there. You know what I mean? Great place. If you were born there and lived there quite a bit, you'd be used to it. Yeah. But if you've never been there and all that,
it's intimidating.
It is too much. It
is an intimidating place, man. And so when you go to New York, do you know anybody there?
Not a soul. Not a soul. I knew no one.
Wow. All right. So you go up, your agent gets you, you go, you do a tryout, and they pick you up.
Yeah. Well, like I say, when I first got there, I was like number 20, 15, something like that on the depth chart. You know what I mean?
Okay.
There was 15 guys there before me. And being a free agent, you definitely going to be the last man on the chart, depth chart at that time.
Okay.
When you first start, yeah.
But you're on.
Yeah.
So let's talk about some of the little bitty details that maybe people don't think about sometimes. So how old are you then?
20. Wow. 20, 21 at the most.
Man.
Yeah. Scared to death.
Yeah. So you go to New York. Where are you living when you get there, and you're part of the Giants franchise? Where do you live?
In a hotel to start off, because if you don't know if you're gonna make the team or not, and you really don't have no money. Basically you don't have no money. So I stayed in the hotel until either I was gonna make the team or not. So like I say, you have no clue until the last. They get cut down to 53 players, but start out with maybe 90, so you got to wait,
wow.
At least till preseason starts right now, and the roster's still over 53, so you really never know.
Okay.
You can make it to the last day and be cut.
So now while you're in that status, while you're on the charts, but you're still on the chopping block too. I mean, you can go.
Day.
Are you being paid during that time, or are you just kind of on your
$500 a day?
Okay. Okay.
And I think when I signed, I got like 15 or 20,000 or something. Just to,
it's like a signing bonus.
For a free agent.
Yeah.
Something.
Okay.
But they give you a little something, and then $500 a day. Because everybody ain't. And that's back then. Everybody wasn't making millions anyway. So.
Right.
Yeah,
all right, so you're in hotels.
We all stay in the same hotel, right by the stadium.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you going to workouts every day, that kind of stuff?
Yeah. Train twice a day. Well, we started out in Mount Pleasant, New York, in Westchester County, New York. And that's when we were practicing twice a day and all that kind of stuff. It was live. It's not like it is now where you only can practice so many days a week with no pad. It was every day with pads, with rain, sleet, or snow. You know what I mean?
Y'all are out there.
We're out there.
All right, so 1984 New York Giants. For the sports guys that are out there that are going to listen to this, give me some names. Who when Bobby Johnson gets there, who are you seeing out there on the field that you're like?
Lawrence Taylor.
There you go.
I mean, Lawrence Taylor, Phil Simms, Harry Carson. I mean, it was just because I remember one time LT was like, "Quit staring at me," man. But I was, I was like a kid I was literally a kid
because you've been watching.
Yes, I'm like, man, come on, man. You LT, buddy. Yeah. You know what I mean? But a lot of us was doing that. We were just, in awe,
Right.
And it was just truly amazing. Just to meet Coach Parcells was amazing.
Yeah.
Bill Belichick, the coach that coached the Patriots for years, he was our defense coordinator. So, I mean, you meet a lot of people through the years that you never, the outcome of their lives, you never know where it's going to end up.
Sure. All right.
And how big they're going to be, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
LT was big, but he's incredible.
Right.
Through the years. He got better and better, you know what I mean?
All right. So we're doing 2-a-days, working hard.
90 degrees, 100 degrees.
So what's it like? What's that emotion like whenever that roster finally gets cut down and Bobby Johnson is still on it?
A dream come true. Because you see a lot of through the months going by, you see people leaving. You know what I mean? You hear that knock on the door. It's like, you know what I mean? This is my friend. We practice. You know what I mean? We practice. You end up getting close to people.
Yeah.
Because the blood, sweat, and tears out there. You end up getting close to people. Then you hear the knock on their door. You think, could it be me? So you try to stay even keeled because it'll crush you. You know what I mean? Because just think, you know how I felt about the sport. Mm-hmm. Imagine not being able to play.
To keep going.
Yes.
And I would guess for a lot of those guys, by the time you get to that point where you're doing workouts with the Giants,
yes,
you're staying up there. When that knock does come on the door and it says, hey man, thanks, but you're out.
Yes.
There is no, well, I'll just go over here now.
Yeah.
Because a lot of
you
times.
never know. They got to somebody else got to contact you again. You know what I mean? So the process starts all over.
Yeah.
And then after
by that point, you're already behind a little bit because
Exactly.
every other team's been going through the same process that the Giants
Camp is basically over. The season's getting ready to start.
Yeah.
So it's, you know what I mean? It's
Wow.
catch-22.
Wow.
It really truly is.
So is there, once that roster gets cut down and you've got your final, you've got your team, is there like a big team meeting where the coaches are like, all right, guys, like y'all are it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And you kind of, like I say, as the weeks go, when it gets down faces to the last day, you like, it's only like 54 of us. You know what I mean? You kind of start seeing it, so you start like, oh, thank you. And plus, I think at that time, we kept 4 or 5 receivers. So once it got to 5 receivers, I'm like, they might not.
You feel safe.
I feel a whole lot better, but you still never know.
Right.
You know what I mean? They might keep 3 quarterbacks and 4 receivers, 5 quarterbacks and 2 quarterbacks. You know, you never know what that number's going to be. So, yeah.
That sounds nerve-wracking.
It truly is. You can't sleep.
It sounds like it.
You're exhausted, but you can't sleep. You know what I mean? At the same time, you going 2 days and you just stressing. It's stressful, but fun at the same time because regardless if you get cut or not, you're still getting that opportunity and still banging it. You know what I mean? You're still playing, but you still want to continue until the knock comes. It's. Wow. And I like to say I've had some good friends that darn. It's you hate losing. You hate losing.
Yeah, because y'all been together.
Yeah. And like I say, receivers, whatever position you play, you with them people every day, films, meetings, you room with one, you know what I mean? So you end up getting close with that bunch of guys. You eat together, you go to dinner together, everything is done with the group that you're practicing with. And like I say, you hate seeing one go. You don't want it. You don't want it to be yourself, but at the same time,
you don't want it to be them either. Yeah,
but that the world, it's a dog eat dog world. The game, it's a business. You know what I mean? It's a business, and everybody understood that. Wasn't no animosity, wasn't no fighting. You made it. None of that. Thank goodness.
Yeah.
Because everybody else wanted everybody else to make it, but everybody else can't make it.
Right. Right. Okay. All right. So, but you do make it.
By the grace of God. I had, like I say, the stuff I ended up doing, in my later years, it was just my choices. But I can say, by the grace of God, all my opportunities that I wanted,
they were put in front of you.
They were put in front of me. They literally were put right in front of me.
So how does life change then? Once you realize that you're on the team, you're not going to hear the knock on the door and say, "Hey, don't go." How does life change? Does the salary change? Do your living conditions change? What does that look like?
Everything changed. You know what I mean? I like to say my first year I only made $55,000, but it's split in 16 weeks, so my checks was like $6,000-7,000 every Monday. You know what I mean? I've never seen that.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
It changed. I ended up getting my own apartment, another receiver actually. Got us a little penthouse, and it changed. It changed. The people looked at me differently, but I like to say I was still the same old dude. But you got to realize that you in New York, these people going, you know what I mean? They are coming. They love football, so you're on the radar.
Well, and look, to some degree, you now, because you're on the team, you are one of the people that you used to watch.
Exactly.
I can imagine now, especially in a place where they love the football.
Yes, yeah.
It's like the autographs and the photographs and the,
all that.
Yeah. And I can imagine that goes to your head.
It does. And being, like I say, 2021, you never really dealt with that. You know what I mean? College was one thing, but the NFL is just, like I say, you don't have no time for yourself, really. Sometimes, you know what I mean? You got to make time because somebody's always, wanting something, do this, do that, and then you got to practice and games and travel and your family, you know what I mean? So it's a lot of stuff you got to deal with. And I can imagine somebody like LT and Phil Simms.
Oh,
you know what I mean?
Goodness,
it was nonstop for them.
Yeah.
Literally 24/7.
So, all right, so let me ask you this. So once you're on the team, you've got that salary. 1984, a kid coming out of Kansas, that's still a lot of money.
I was overjoyed, man. I woke up, went to bed smiling, woke up smiling. You know what I mean? Because, like I say, all my dreams had come true.
So was there anything that the Bobby Johnson in New York 1984, when you started getting those paychecks, was there anything that Bobby Johnson went out and bought because you're like, I have arrived. I can now buy this.
I just bought a car. It was a 300ZX.
There you go.
A 300ZX. That was my first purchase. Yeah.
What color was it?
Maroon.
Of course it was. Yeah.
Actually maroon. I loved it. It was a beautiful car, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Like I say, but living up there, you need more money.
Yeah, that's
you know what I mean?
That's the truth. That's the truth.
Because I think our rent was like $2,000, and that back then was, that's $1,000 a piece of money.
Right.
That to me, that's a lot of money.
Yeah,
that was a lot of money. You know what I mean? So it was just like, I got to survive, and
yeah.
And like I said, you only get paid 16 weeks. So after the season's over, you're not getting any more, unless you get it deferred through. You could get it spread out for a year, but I wanted, because I thought, I thought I could make it work. And it actually does, but you feel funny not having to check for all that amount of time. So you got to, and I didn't know nothing about, finances and budgeting and saving money. You know what I mean? I was young and just having a blast.
Yeah.
Like I say, my dream had come true. I've been made this team, so I'm going to enjoy this.
Right. All right. So what's it like playing for the Giants? What's it like walking out on those fields, not only in New York, but y'all traveled? I mean, what's that like?
Like I say, at first you don't believe it. It seems like a dream at first. The first Sunday I played felt like a dream. I thought like, let me wake up. I kept pinching myself, actually threw up a couple times. I'm like, and then you come out, our first game was actually at home, I think it was like 75, 80,000 people. I'm like, oh my God. You really don't know what to do. But then, like I say, once you get on the field, it's all the same. You know what I mean? It's what
you're just doing what you know how to do.
Since you was 5 years old, it's just a whole lot more people than everybody. And everybody's bigger and faster and stronger, but it's still football. But the mistakes have to be cut down. You know what I mean? You can't be dropping past. You can't run wrong routes. You can't, you know what I mean? It's pressure.
Yeah.
It's a job.
Yeah.
It's a job. It's fun, but it's a job. You know what I mean? People, eat off of that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
They're paying you to do it, and they want you to do it right.
And people have families, so this is a job. So if you don't do it right, they'll tell you, we'll find somebody else that, that will.
But I can imagine, I can think about it. I've obviously never done it.
You can actually imagine.
But, just having that uniform on, walking out, being on that grass. As a kid that grew up thinking like, man, I love this. And then you end up in a situation where I'm getting paid to do it now.
Know. I'd have played for free.
On the biggest stage in the world.
I'd have played for free. They just didn't know that. But I would have, you know what I mean? I'd have played for free regardless. I would have, as long as I kept playing. You know what I mean? Played for free through high school, college, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But like I say, I'd have played for free regardless. It was just, like I say, that first Sunday was just, I think about that a lot, actually, because, you know what I mean? Because that's where it started.
Right.
That's where it started. So I think about that first Sunday a lot. I'm like, your dream came true,
Yeah. And, man, a lot of people don't get to say that,
And see, that's what I tell you. God had me the whole time. He had me the whole time, and like I always tell people, he's gonna give you a choice.
yeah. We gonna talk about that.
Yeah, he's gonna give you a choice now.
We gonna talk about that.
Yeah.
All right. So 3 seasons with the New York Giants. Just generally, was it like the 3 years that you were there? Did it ever lose the fun?
Never. If I could have played 50 years, I'd have played 50 years and still enjoyed every minute.
Yeah, that's good.
You know what I mean? I'd have enjoyed every minute if I could have played 50 years. Loved it. I literally loved the game. When I say that, I mean it. I loved it. I loved it.
Wow.
God, family, and football.
That's amazing.
I'm telling you.
That's good.
That's it, buddy.
That's good. All right, man. But we get to New York. Bobby Johnson has arrived. You're standing out there on that football field with some of the biggest names in the league at the time.
playing against some of the biggest.
Playing against some of the biggest.
Montana,
Oh,
Jerry
my goodness.
Rice, Walter Payton, the refrigerator.
The refrigerator, yes,
Jimmy
sir.
McMahon, you know what I mean? Dan Fouts. There's some, Tony Dorsett. Great. I was like in awe, literally.
Yeah.
I couldn't wait to play some of them teams just so I could see some of them people and touch them.
Right.
You know what I mean? I'm like, man, let me touch you.
Yeah. Can I have an autograph?
Yeah, Tony Dorsett, man, come on. You know what I mean? You Walter Payton. My goodness. And see, that's what kept you like, you just Bobby. This is Walter Payton. You know what I'm saying? This is a whole different level of person.
Right.
You know what I mean? That's been in the league 9, 10 years already, 7, you know? So it's like, how did they do it?
And that's where you're at.
Yeah.
That's where you're at, man.
And it's scary to keep making the team. You know what I mean? Every year you got to make the team again. You got to make the team again. Unless you LT Walter Payton, but the regular dudes, you got to make. You got to
prove yourself over and over again.
Yes. Yeah. Yes.
But you did that.
Yes.
You did that because you love the game. Because you're good at it. But it's like you said a minute ago. God brought you there.
He
and
truly
God
did.
And God will give you options.
Truly did.
And when you get to New York, you get an option, don't you?
I get an option. First 2 years were good. All of them were good though. Like I said, I made the wrong choice to change the goodness, but I had a darn good time up there. I love them guys to this day.
But your first couple of years,
good to go.
Good to go.
Living like I was supposed to be living.
Yep. And then something comes in, and it changes the course of your life.
Yeah, forever.
What came in?
Something they call crack cocaine.
Crack cocaine.
The worst. I think it's one of the worst drugs that ever came out with. It is highly addictive, and then people would tell you that it's probably one of the most highly addictive drugs. I'm sure heroin is and all that kind of stuff too. Everybody would say whatever they were addicted to was the most. You know what I mean?
Right.
I can agree with that, but.
On top of the world.
On top of the world, man. Literally.
On top of the world.
Like I said,
and here's the thing, and I know this even in the relatively short period of time that I've known you, I know this about you because I've talked with you about how you grew up. I've talked with you about the kind of the way your mother and father were and the way you were raised and what you believed. Like Bobby Johnson knew not to mess with that stuff.
Knew better. I didn't even know what it was till I got to New York. You know what I mean? I didn't see cocaine or nothing in college. Like I say, we dabbled, did a little weed and drink in college, but cocaine was, nobody knew what that was. I'm sure some people did, but I didn't know. I wasn't around that crowd, But you're moving in those circles that are in New York. In one of the biggest darn cities in the world, so it's around. Yeah. And I can say back then, all the nightclubs and, they were doing it in the club. You know what I mean? Dancing till 10 o'clock the next morning. Just, it was like normal. I hate to say that, but, snorting cocaine and doing cocaine was like normal. Wow. Up there at that time. So you get introduced to it, you try it, and is that all she wrote? That's all she wrote. Like I tell people, you can't even try a drug. Don't ever even try a drug. Because you get addicted the first second that you touch it. I promise you, if I'd never done heroin, I guarantee if I took a line of heroin, I would be addicted. I have that kind of personality. Yeah. You know what I mean? Okay, yeah. I can't speak for everybody, but I know me. And that's exactly what happened the first time I tried it. I was addicted 1 minute after I'd done it. So once you were introduced to that and you tried it, would it be fair to say that your focus shifted? Oh. You were still playing football. You still love football, but now you were actually more focused on, I got to get more of that. I got to get high. Exactly. Couldn't wait for the practice to be over with. Couldn't wait for the games to be over with. Couldn't wait to go get high again. Isn't that something, man? Literally, you're at the point where you had worked literally your whole life That's
to
something
get
you love
to that.
to do. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's like you just said a minute ago, like I'd have done it for free.
I'd have done it for free.
They didn't know it. And I'm glad they paid me. But if they'd have just said, hey, Bobby, we ain't going to pay you, but we'll put you on a team, like you'd have been there. That's how important that was to your life.
And it might have been better off because I wouldn't have no money to buy nothing. No crack. You know what
Ain't that the truth?
So it might have been better off, to be honest.
But, but once that crack came into your life, the thing that you loved to do actually took a back seat.
It took a back seat.
Just like that.
Everything took a back seat. Everything took a back seat. See, I didn't tell you this before. Like I say, my son is 38 now. He was up there in New York at the time. But my son's mother and him, she left. Because I wasn't coming home or nothing like that. And me and him just reconnected like 5 years ago, 6 years ago. So I didn't see him from like the time he was 3 till like 30, 31.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. And he actually, like I say, he actually goes to school in Lawrence, Kansas. He graduated from there. He lives there, coaches high school ball there. And we've reconnected and, so all that has worked out. Thank God. Robert Lee Johnson III is his name.
But what destroyed that on the front end? Crack cocaine.
Crack cocaine. I didn't care about nothing. Like I say, if you don't care about your son and football, something you love, then you're gone. You are addicted. All
right. So we've talked a little bit about what life was like when Bobby Johnson got to New York, staying in the hotel, waiting on a knock on the door, making the roster, that first Sunday stepping out on the field. The names, the giants of football,
exactly.
That I grew up. I've never been a sports guy, but my goodness, man, when the Chicago Bears, that old team right there, man, growing up, you're like
saying the name,
man,
you know what I mean?
Yeah, refrigerator. Come on.
I'm telling you, man.
And you're on the field with these guys,
these dudes,
and then crack cocaine and everything changes.
Everything.
So we've talked about what life was like before. What does life look like after that crack gets introduced to Bobby?
It like you say, it totally changed. I actually made it through the last season, played in Super Bowl XXI, but the game, like I told you earlier, the game before that I came late from doing drugs. Supposed to be in there like at 11 o'clock. I got there at 12. The game didn't start till like 1:30 or something, but still I was late. And from that point on, I knew I was done. I literally done in the league. You know what I mean? Because that, I'm sure that got out. And the next game we won that game. The next game was Super Bowl. I didn't catch a pass. The ball was not even thrown to me. I knew I was getting punished. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't blame you, Coach. Me and him talked to this day. I said, I do not blame you. I do not deserve, to catch a pass in this game. And I'll let y'all down being late and all that, you know what I mean?
And here's what's fascinating to me about that. And of course, you know more about this obviously than what I'm about to read, because what I'm about to read is just other people's opinions. But listen to this. Talking about Bobby Lee Johnson, the guy that came out of Kansas, the free agent that goes to the New York Giants, probably best known as the receiver who caught Phil Simms' 4th and 17 pass in Minnesota in Week 12, the 1986 season. A play that many football historians feel turned the tide for the Giants that year, set up that championship run, and allowed the Giants to get to that Super Bowl that you played in. So we're not talking about a guy who was, maybe he would catch a pass here or there. We're talking about like you were a playmaker.
Yeah. My first game, I had 2 touchdowns, 147 yards. First game. And
by the time you get to the Super Bowl, the pinnacle.
Yes.
The place that is the place to be, right?
Yes.
By the time we get there, crack controls you so much that
I didn't care.
They're not even going to throw the ball to you anymore.
Yeah. I knew it was coming. I know Coach. You know what I mean? I know Coach Parcells. I was punished. And like I say, after we won the game, we just hugged and I cried because I mean I wanted to have at least some kind of contribution to the team, that game and all.
Right.
That. But it still hurts to this day. I've never even watched the Super Bowl.
Really?
Yeah, never even watched it because I'm like, I was there, but I wasn't there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like I said, I didn't contribute anything. But I'll let the guys tell it. They always say, like you say, we wouldn't be here if it wasn't for you. And all, they try to make me feel better.
Well, and look, there's truth to that, right? There's truth to that. I mean,
it is. But still.
Hey, look, man, that Giants run in '86 was a run that you participated in, and it's a run that you helped make happen. Yeah.
Yeah, we had a great team. Actually, we had a great team, and it was basically we knew, like I said, the year before we lost to the Bears in the playoffs, and they won the Super Bowl, and we knew that we wasn't that good, and we knew what it took to be that good. Now,
right?
They were a different level, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
so we had to take it up too,
And that was a pretty decisive victory. I played the Broncos, Super Bowl 21. Pretty decisive victory. I don't remember the exact score. It was like 39-20 or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. Like I said, that was against John L. I was in
buddy.
that game. I'm like, my goodness, you know what I mean? At the Rose Bowl, 110,000, 109,000 people. And I'm like, oh, my God, I'm not even going to get a catch. But I knew. Like I say, me and Coach talk about that to this day. I knew. I deserved it. If he would have cut me when I was late that day for the Redskins game, because they probably back then they probably could have done it. I couldn't have said nothing. I couldn't have said a word.
So let me ask you this, Bobby. Because you've said that now several times. You knew that this was coming.
Yes.
You knew it was coming. But I also know you didn't want it because you wanted football.
I was hoping I was thinking, out of the box and thinking too far. But nah,
but I'm assuming also that you recognized even at that time that you were so addicted that you couldn't stop.
It wasn't no return. Wasn't no coming back. You know what I mean? I was literally a crackhead. I literally was 100%.
Did you want to stop at that
every single day?
Okay.
I wanted to stop every single day. Like you say, I knew it was wrong. But it was so much around me. I was hanging out with the wrong people,
Yeah.
Hanging out with the wrong, but you thought they were good people, you know what I mean? But they were dabbling in that stuff, selling it out. You know how it was in New York. So you really couldn't you could get away from it, but you couldn't. You know what I mean?
Right. It's one of those things, and I've talked to a lot of people over the years that deal with addiction issues. It's one of those things where you want what that substance gives you, but you also don't want to be dependent on that.
Exactly.
It's this weird, I hate it, but I also love it.
Yes. You feel like you need it, but I mean, you don't need crack cocaine, heroin.
Right.
You don't need it. It's just,
it's
a part of your daily life.
Right.
It sounds stupid. It actually does when you think about it. It's part of your daily life, but addiction is that powerful.
Right.
It is that powerful to make you, where you stop doing something you love, stop thinking about your kids. It's that powerful.
Wow.
I wish that on nobody.
And maybe I don't know that this is exactly true. I'm guessing on this, but in my mind, I feel like because of the position you had at the time, a professional football player for that period of time, making pretty good money. I don't know, the league maybe back in the 80s, the league might not have known as much about addiction and dealing with that kind of stuff.
No programs. We didn't have any programs.
Okay.
Because like I said, I thought I was the only person that was addicted, but it come to find out it was a whole lot of players on other teams but there was no program. They would let you keep playing until, to the end of the season, then they would let you go. Because, nothing they could do. No programs, none of that. No counseling, no nothing.
Yeah. Well, let's go back to the Super Bowl. Super Bowl 21. Y'all win. What's that emotion like, just from a game perspective? What's that like, being on that field when that clock finally runs out and the New York Giants are Super Bowl champions?
You don't believe it at first. You know what I mean? Once the game is over, you still don't believe it. It's like something getting ready to happen. I just did not win a Super Bowl, a dream that you really dream about all your life. If you know, in the sports, football, it just nobody on the team believed it because that was, you know, they had never won one. Nobody on our team had a ring at that time.
I think the Giants at that point, y'all had not had a championship since like the 50s.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And that was like, you know, with White, Tittle, and all them, I think, at the fairgrounds, polo
right,
something like that. And see, that's what made it so special. The fans just like, this is our, you know, they look at it as our first Super Bowl, really. But it was like, I mean, you can't even imagine. You know what I mean? You wake up the next day and still don't believe that you know, it's just like, nah, we just did not do this.
But you did.
You know what I mean? This is not real. And you just don't, you cannot fathom something that you dream about actually happening within 3 years of your, you know, of actually starting something. I'm like,
when you leave the stadium that day, Super Bowl champion Bobby Johnson, wide receiver, number 88, right? Where do you go and what do you do?
I was crying because I knew that was my last game. And I knew.
Did you really?
Yeah, I knew it was. Like I said, I cried the whole game. On the sidelines, every time I would be on the field, but I would not get a pass. You know what I mean? I started every game I was in New York. Started as a rookie, first game to the last, I started. But that, and it got passes every game. You know what I mean? Caught something every game. But I knew. I cried. Like I said, every time I came off the field, I cried.
You knew it was coming to an end.
And see, I was kind of like, I just won a Super Bowl, but I know this is my last game too. So it was like.
Was anybody talking about that, Bobby? I mean, were your coaches coming to you and saying, hey, Bobby, man, I don't know what's going on with you, but there's an issue. Like, we got to figure this out.
Nah.
You just on your own?
Just on your own. No player ever said it. You know, grown men don't talk to grown men about, you know how we try to keep our issues and problems to ourselves. Nah. They knew I was doing it, but nobody ever said that. You know what I mean? If you come to a game late and, you know, every time you get a break, you sleep because you've been up. You know what I'm saying? We've been doing the Super Bowl. We had break times in the locker room. I'd be asleep from just being up. I smoked at the Super Bowl before, you know.
I was going to ask you.
Yeah. Smoked after. Yeah.
That much control.
That much control.
On the biggest stage that you wanted to be on.
Yes.
Even then, that's not enough to keep you from
doing
going to it.
Exactly.
And that's that. Hey, man, I'm glad you're saying that because I think a lot of people, and I've talked about this with other guests before, but a lot of people, when they think about addiction, especially if they've not dealt with addiction personally, they think it's just you just need to quit.
No.
You know?
Believe me, if it was that easy, I would have quit.
But you know what I'm saying? They think it's just a willpower thing.
Yes.
Well, if Bobby wanted to quit, he'd quit, right?
It is.
It's not like that.
Far from that. It's no overnight thing. It's a yearly process. You know what I mean? I'm in 20-something years clean, but you know what I mean? I'm still an addict.
Right.
Once you're an addict, you're always an addict, believe it or not.
So you leave the Super Bowl. Let's kind of go behind the curtain a little bit for maybe stuff that I don't know. Maybe other people know all about this kind of stuff. But when I met you the first time, you got that Super Bowl ring on.
Yes.
Is there a ceremony that y'all do where?
Well, we don't get it for like Super Bowl. We got it in May, so we got to wait 2 or 3 months before we actually got it, and then we have ceremony rings, pass out the rings and all that kind of stuff. Yeah.
Okay.
So you don't get it immediately.
Yeah.
Because they got to size you and get, get your names and and all that kind of stuff.
Okay.
Yeah. I wish it was immediately. We all wanted it.
Yeah, I bet you did. I bet you did.
I couldn't wait. But like I say, when I got the ring, I knew, you know what I mean? I'm not going to be with y'all. I'm not going to be with y'all. Because we got them in, I think, May. And in June, I got traded to San Diego. And That was it.
And you and I have talked a little bit about the trade. The trade was not really a trade.
To me, not in my eyes,
for you to play for San Diego.
Exactly. In my eyes, I'm sure they, seen it some kind of other way, but I knew.
It was, we need to send him from the East Coast to the West Coast.
Get him out of here.
Get him out of
everybody's eyesight and all that, and wondering where he's at, and send him to the other coast.
And then when you went to San Diego, you don't stay there very long.
A week. That was it. I was still smoking then.
And
see, that's what I.
So how do you leave San Diego? What's the official process? I mean, do they cut you? Or did you quit?
They cut you.
Because
I was actually, regardless of what I was going through, I was still trying to make the team. You know what I mean?
Okay.
I still wanted to play football, but smoke crack at the same time, which you can't do. But I was still trying to make their team. But like I said, I took a drug test and, cocaine in my system. So
you're out.
Yeah. But he said that we already know, the coach said we already know that you're addicted and you got this in your system. All right, then, well, give me some help. And you know what I mean?
Right.
But no, it was just too random to just go out there for a week and then get cut. It was just, what was the reason why you trade this man that's been, playing good ball for you? You know what I mean? What's the reason behind that? See, that's what, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's what people in New York were asking. Why, because a lot of people didn't know that I was addicted.
Okay.
A whole lot of people didn't, but the team.
And certainly the fan base is probably looking at that going, wait a minute, man, this is Bobby Johnson. I mean, he started every game for the last 3 years. We're in the Super Bowl for the first time since like 1956 or something. I mean, why in the world are we trading this guy?
Exactly. Of all the receivers.
To trade, why him?
Why him?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it was iffy. It was, but I knew, like I say, I knew from the season before that I was done. My career was done.
So you go to San Diego, you're there about a week, you get cut. Do you stay in California?
No. Came straight back to Tennessee.
Straight back to Tennessee.
There. Yeah. I had to get out of there. I didn't have no money on me, you know what I mean? I couldn't live in California. I hardly had any money, you know what I'm saying? It's just, ooh.
So when you get back to Tennessee, what does life look like? What happens with Bobby Johnson after the NFL?
That was the worst part of my life, I think. After I knew that I couldn't play anymore, that's when I really, really, truly, I was already addicted 100%, but I spiraled. Fell off a cliff. You know what I'm saying?
So maybe almost like when you still had football in your life, you're addicted, but you're pumping the brakes a little bit.
Yes.
You're trying to. But once football leaves, you're just like, no brakes. Let's just go all accelerator.
Yeah. Take the brakes off. Just let's go. 100 miles an hour daily. That was it. I had nothing, I ain't got to go to practice. I ain't got to do nothing else. I can just smoke every day, all day. That's it.
And that's what you did.
That's exactly what I did. Exactly what I did. From 1986 to 2002, exactly what I did every day, darn near 24/7. Like we talked about, it got so deep where the ring was gone, all that kind of stuff.
How did you live, Bobby? From 86 to 2002, you're smoking crack every single day. And I'm not saying this in a flippant way. I'm being serious. Like,
definitely
how are you still alive, man?
By the grace of God.
There you go.
That's the only thing I can. Like I say, he's been with me this whole time. And to this day, without him, I know I wouldn't be here. Like I said, I've been shot at, been all kinds of stuff. I've been in situations I should be dead. Heart pumping 1,000,000 miles an hour a few times. I had a heart attack smoking and still continue to smoke, but did not die. That's why I know God had to be with me. Yeah. And I knew if I went through all that, I got to get clean. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
If he let me survive all this, it's a reason I'm still here.
Right. I think about it like this, Bobby. It's almost like you get to a point in your life where you go, I should already be dead.
Yes.
I've been in too many situations that should have killed me.
Definitely.
But if God is keeping me alive, if God sees enough value in me to keep me here, I need to start seeing value in myself.
Exactly. And it starts with you. Nobody else can make you get clean. Nobody else can help you get clean. But God and yourself. That is it. That is it. Then you can go to rehab and all that helps. But if you don't want to get clean, you're gonna come right out of that rehab and get high again. So it's you and God. And you gotta, be real with yourself. You know what I mean? I know people went to rehab, know darn well they ain't ready to get clean.
Yeah.
You know
I see that. I see it all the time.
30 days, and plus 30 days.
Ain't nothing. Ain't nothing. I agree.
You know what I'm saying?
It's a racket. That's what it is. I'll go on and say it. It's a racket.
A money maker, bro.
Yeah.
It's a money maker.
Hey, come to my program for 30 days. We know daggum well it ain't going to work.
Yeah.
But you're going to pay me. Yeah. I see it all the time.
And if your parents got real good insurance, you keep coming back.
Yeah, exactly right.
That's how it goes.
Yeah. But all right, so this is fascinating, man, and that's why I wanted to talk to you, and that's why I want to record with you, man, because, I mean, I'm sitting at a table now in my office talking to Bobby Johnson, Super Bowl champion. I mean, in your world, you were on top of the world. You had gotten to the pinnacle
of that sport.
I mean, that you told me, man, I loved all sports, but football was where my passion was. Yeah. Free agency. Undrafted, goes and walks on to the New York Giants. And then you don't just stay deep on the chart. You're starting every game. And then you're homeless.
Yeah. Like I say, God will help you. He'll let you do whatever you want to do. He really will. He'll let you do whatever you want to do until you wake up and see that he is the light and you don't need them drugs.
Yeah. So you end up on the streets.
On the streets.
In Nashville.
For 6, 7, 8, 9 months. I don't even remember. When you like that days and months.
They just blend together.
They just blend together. You really don't know how long you're out there.
Sleeping wherever you can sleep.
It's ridiculous. But like I tell people, nobody wants to be out there homeless. Nobody wants to be addicted. It just happens, and then it gets so far out of control you cannot reel it back in if you don't get in control early.
And you end up, anything that you had that you could get rid of, that you could trade, whatever, for more crack, that's what you did.
Yeah. Like I say, we pawn the ring.
And ultimately, it's that Super Bowl ring.
The thing that I love the most, besides family,
sure,
and all that. You know what I mean?
Well, but certainly the physical thing in your life that you're the most attached to, that's the proof to you of my accomplishment. I did what my dream was. You walk in a pawn shop in Nashville, Tennessee, and you pawn that ring for what?
$250.
$250.
And no sense.
In more ways than one.
Yeah. And like I said, the guy, he said, what do you want? He said, you can get $5,000, $10,000. I was like, I just want $250, so I know that I can probably come back and get this, But every time I got hold of $250, I was smoking $250.
That's what I was about to say. At $250.
Felt like $250 million. Might as well have been $250 million.
And bought crack.
I mean, ran out of Freeman to go, you know what I mean, to go buy $250 worth of crack. That fast. And that was gone in 3-4 hours. And my ring was gone,
Yeah.
Probably could have been gone forever.
Yeah. So when you get back home and you're dealing with this addiction, you're battling these demons, you end up on the streets. You started off this program talking about how your mom's really your best friend.
Yes.
And I can only imagine how your mom felt watching you.
Yes.
But what was your mom's approach? What was your family's approach? Was it,
you can't come here? At first I would be able to, stay with my sister or mom, but eventually like, nah, man. My sister had kids. I'd be up all night. They'd wake up, smelling. I'd be in the garage, but you wake up, you ain't never smelled that. I'm like, what is that? They're like, what is that smell? And you'd be up all night. They'd go to work. I'd still be home. My sister was like, nah, you got to go. My mother was like, nah, you got to go. You got to go. You got to help yourself. We're just not going to enable you and let you,
Right.
you know what I mean? Because that's enabling to me. Regardless they give you money or not, they let you live with them and do what you do.
They're taking care of you so that you can
exactly
stay in your addiction.
Exactly. So my mom was like, no. My sister was like, no. My brother was like, no. Yeah, he didn't. He definitely didn't.
And I bet at the time, well, I say I bet, I don't know. I mean, I would think maybe at the time when your mom and your sister is telling you got to go, it probably hurts. It probably makes you mad a little bit, like, well, you know, I need to help or whatever. But in hindsight,
it was the best
you look at them and you probably think, man, how hurt they were.
Yeah. It's not a victim of crime. You think you just hurting yourself by getting high? Nah, you affecting so many people. Like I said, I missed so many Thanksgiving, Christmases. You know what I mean? Couldn't go because I would rather get high than celebrate Christmas with my family or Thanksgiving.
Right.
You know what I mean? Yeah, but I thank my family for doing that. I thank them.
Yeah.
Because, like I say, without them doing all that stuff, like I say, who knows? One wrong thing that through that process, I might still be addicted.
Right.
You know what I mean? That's how easy it is to stay addicted. You know what I mean? If the ring didn't make me stop, you know what I'm saying? If my son didn't make me stop, then it's, you know what I mean? Hopefully it's another thing down the road that'll make you, you know.
But eventually you have an experience, don't you, down there in Nashville? And that experience at least begins to turn the tide.
It begins to turn the tide.
Talk to me about that.
Contemplating suicide. Like I say, you get to that point where you think, I mean, myself, I can't speak for everybody, but if you get to that point where you think, this is what I'm going to do the rest of my life, and I'm only, 30-something. If I'm going to smoke crack till I'm 70, I don't want to do this. You know what I mean? That's just my opinion. I can't speak for everybody else. Sat up on a bridge, Cumberland Bridge, wanted to just, I was about to jump. I was sitting there, about to jump. Like I said, I told you this, the Lord touched me and said, get your butt down. You are afraid of heights. That, I promise you, that's literally what I heard. Literally. Get your butt down, you're afraid of heights.
And you are afraid of heights.
I'm terrified of heights. And I didn't, while I'm sitting up there, my eyes are closed anyway, because I didn't want to look down and happen to get out back. Because you don't want to make no accident and kill yourself accidentally. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So I'm like holding on, like gripping. But, and there's other people around saying, get down, get down. Other homeless people, you know what I mean? They're like, get down, cars driving by, And when I got out that bridge and stepped on that concrete, I was like, it's got to change. Got to change. Because I've never thought about it. I love life. I love myself. You know what I mean? I love other people. Yeah. So what in the world are you thinking about to make you want to, you know what I mean?
Right.
The good life you had, now you want to, come on. I get mad at myself when I'm talking about it now, I kind of get upset because I don't believe I actually done that. You know what I mean? Because everything, the drugs is complete opposite of me. Doing the drugs, contemplating suicide, all that kind of stuff, not hanging out with my son, that's all the complete opposite of me.
Right.
I'm not that dude, you know what I mean? I'm not that kind of person. I love people, I love life. I wish everybody could be happy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It ain't even money. Money don't make you happy.
Right.
It ain't got nothing to do with that. It's just your peace and content, you know what I mean? Just daily life. Just live normal. That's all I was asking for at that point. When I stepped down from that, I was like, Lord. And when I went to my mother's house, like I said, I just got on my knees. I was like, Lord, I don't know what to do. Whatever you do, whatever happens from this point is your control. It's you're guiding me.
So you get off that bridge.
Because obviously I don't know what to do.
Yeah. You get off that bridge, that's the point that kind of starts to turn the tide.
It starts to turn.
So talk to us about what is life like after that? I mean, how do we get to the point where you're sitting here with me today?
Struggle. It was a struggle. Just because you don't commit suicide and hear God now, still don't mean you're clean. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So you still got to go through that process of just, I want it, but I don't. You know what I mean? I know I got to stay here. I did not leave. Like I said, I didn't leave my mother's house for probably 6-7 months because I knew if I step out of this door, you know, I can go make a call and, you know, do what I do. People driving down, you know, you see people that you used to buy drugs from, you know, drive by your, you know, mother's house. So it's like, oh my goodness, it's everywhere. So I had to, you know, just like I was in jail, basically. I didn't have a phone because I didn't have no money. You know what I'm saying? So I just stayed my butt in the house. Stayed there. Stayed with my sister, went back and forth with them, but I could because I was clean at the time. And I started working and eventually got my own spot. Yeah. Like I say, now I own my home. You know what I mean? So that's why I say God he'll let you do what you want to do, but he'll help you.
Yeah.
He'll help you. He will help you.
That's amazing, man. And the journey that you've been on is so important for people to hear.
I hope so.
But your journey has good stuff to it too.
Yeah.
Because you pawned that Super Bowl ring for $250 at Friedman's. You don't go back and get it.
I never even paid an installment. None of that.
Yeah.
To even try to keep it.
But I got a picture now of me, you, and Mike after we ate steak.
Yes.
And Mike, because Mike's goofy. He goofy. But Mike, we took a picture. Mike's like, get that ring in there, Bobby. Get that ring in there. And I mean, you do. You got the ring now. So talk to us about it. How'd that ring come back?
Like I say, one day I was at work. I worked at NHK, and Coach called me.
When you say Coach Bill Parcells.
Yeah, I still call him Coach. Yeah. Coach Parcells called and said, "We're gonna try to get your ring back. Are you clean?" He said, "I've been hearing good things about you. I know you better." I was like 10 years in then clean. He's like, "I'm proud of you." They were going to try to get your ring back. Because a lot of players on the team, they were going to actually get me a whole nother ring. The team would. But Coach was like, "No, we wanted you to have your original ring." I mean, it would look just like this, but it wouldn't have been the first one they gave. You know what I'm saying? Everything would have been identical, but it wouldn't have been the one I got that day. And that's what Coach said. "We want to get you the one that you got that day." And I told him, I said, "I know the guy that has." He said, "Nah." I said, "Yeah." I said, "I've been at his house, ate dinner." He lived in New York, Queens, New York. He was actually a lawyer too, Alan Joseph. I mean, we talked about it. He said something on that post that day. He said, "Bobby wouldn't have a ring if it wasn't for me." He says that every time too. But I let him know, "Alan, I'm giving you a shout out. I love you, but without him," like I say, Coach was like, "You know who got the ring?" I was like, "Yeah."
So how did you know that, Bobby? Because I mean, how did you track, like when you pawned it?
He contacted me.
Oh, okay.
He actually contacted me on Facebook. He said, I bought your ring." He contacted me. I was like, "What?" And like I say, that's another thing that if you don't open your eyes and really believe, see how God works. A man that's actually a Giants fan bought it. You know what I'm saying? It could have been bought by anybody that would not even want to sell it back. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So like I say, God works in a lot of ways if you just pay attention.
So he contacted you and said, "Hey man, I bought your ring."
Yeah.
So you end up meeting him.
Yes. Yeah.
You'd been to his house.
Been to his house 2 or 3 times.
So when Coach Parcells calls you, you know where the ring is. You're like, "Well, I can tell you exactly where it's at."
I gave him Coach's number. Well, I gave Coach Allen's number.
So let me ask you this: before Coach contacted you, you knew where the ring was.
Yeah.
Did you ever have an opportunity or an option to try to get it back yourself?
No, I didn't have that kind of money at that time.
Yeah, I'm with you.
You know what I mean? I didn't have that kind of money at that time. But the gentleman Allen actually said, "It's your ring." You know what I mean? I don't know if he probably would have gave it back to me maybe 50 years from now. You know, baby, when he got ready to pass away or something. But I like I said, I went to his house and used to see it sitting there.
Really?
Yeah.
I can't imagine
I used
what
to put it on when I go up there.
Oh my goodness, man! I can't imagine that.
And see that you know what I'm saying, that's what God will do to you. Like, see, this is your stuff. This is what you done. You know what I mean? I'm gonna let you taste it. Yes,
but you ain't leaving with it.
Exactly. Stay your butt clean, man. You know what I'm saying? it's little intricate, things in life that you got to pay attention and always just, it ain't got to be nothing big. But I'm telling you, man, I used to sit there, he'd like, put it on, man. I mean,
But I bet that was motivation, wasn't it? Was that motivation for you to, hey, I've got to keep doing the right thing? Like, because that's got to be a bright light in your life at that point.
Exactly. You know where it's at. And you know this, man, I knew he wasn't going to make me pay for it to get it back. Like I say, it might have been 100 years from now when I got it, but he wasn't going to make me buy it back. You know what I'm saying? He was going to give it to me eventually. Yeah. But part of it was like, we ain't waiting. You know what I'm saying?
So coach calls you, says, hey, I've heard some good things.
Yes.
Are you clean?
Yes.
And you're like, I am, coach. Yeah. Been clean 10 years.
Because actually we had like a reunion before that, and he seen me, you know what I mean? And I hadn't been to no reunions in a long time because of this and addiction. Yeah. And then when I finally went to one, they was like, oh, thank God. Because everybody kept wondering, where Bobby? Where Bobby? And when I went up there, coach was like, you're clean, ain't you? I was like, yeah, coach. All the players could see it. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But I didn't go for I missed probably ain't no telling how many reunions. Even when I was clean, I didn't go till 6 years in.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because I just didn't feel right.
I'm with you.
I didn't feel right.
So he calls you and he says, hey, we want to get the ring back, the original.
The original.
And you're like, well, it just so happens I know where it's at. Been to his house. I've actually had it on again. All right, so how do they actually get it back?
They contacted each other, and the next thing you know, coach was like, "Come to New York, come to a game." But he didn't say. But they still didn't let me know that they just said, "Come to a game.
To a game.
We want to talk to you." You know what I mean? Yep. Him and another gentleman, actually another guy named Lee Ford, helped him purchase it back.
Right.
And I never met this man. I don't know who this man is, Mr. Ford. I just know his name. I've seen the picture of him, but I don't know who he is either. So
you get up to New York, you go to the game. What happens?
At halftime, they were like, Coach wasn't even there. He didn't even come. But at halftime, they said, come upstairs. We got, we want to give you this. They didn't say what it was. Actually, a lot of us went up there. They said, y'all come on up here. The players, come on up here. We got this special thing we want to do at halftime. Yeah. I still didn't know. You know what I mean? Then they kept saying, he said, Bobby, come here. Bobby, the owner of the team. Bobby, come here. And like I said, I immediately started crying.
Yeah.
I mean, it's on video.
It is. Yeah, I've seen it. I've seen it.
Like I say, I still cheer up about it because nobody had to do that. You know what I mean? They didn't have to do that.
Right.
Especially the way, like I say, the way I feel I treated them wrong because I come to the game late. I didn't hold up my end of the bargain. You know what I mean? So they didn't have to do none of that for me. They really didn't. And actually, I talked to Coach that day on the phone.
On the phone. That's right.
It's on the video too. I was crying. He's like, oh my God. He was happy. He's still happy for me. He like I say, he'll text me every now and then. Are you all right? Are you all right? Because he's helped a lot of players on our team, actually.
Yeah. He
really has, financially, emotionally. I mean, we loved him. We really did. But like I tell people, I'm thinking I'm the only one that had issues, but I wasn't. You know what I mean?
Right.
But I thought I was. In the world, in the whole league. I'm thinking I'm the only person addicted to crack cocaine.
Yeah.
That's just how I mentally thought. But far from that. Far from that. I don't think a lot of people went as far as I did, far and deep in, contemplating pawning rings. But,
right.
But a lot of Super Bowl rings have been pawned for others, I hope other reasons besides addiction, but they have been pawned.
Yeah.
I watch Pawn Stars. I seen them on there. I'm like, what? And then, once I got clean, then I realized, what are they going through to make them do that? You know what I mean?
Right.
And life shouldn't be like that. You know what I mean? You should not have to pawn, something that means that much to you.
Yeah.
To get back in that, regardless, it ain't got to be drugs. It's something, what happened?
Yeah.
Like I say, if I was a billionaire, I wouldn't have no money because I'd help everybody in the world. You know what I'm saying? I'd walk out of here and go, Oh man, go buy somebody's house and just send them home. Here, this your home. You know what I mean? That's what I would do. I really would.
Yeah, I get that sense, Bobby. I really do, man. The day that you and I first met, when we left dinner that night, Mike called me on my way home and he was like, "Well, what'd you think of Bobby?" I was like, "Man, he seems just like a good dude." He just seems like a good. I mean, and I sincerely, that's how I felt, man. I was just like,
thank you.
Likewise, I mean, as soon as you walked in, man, I mean, you've got this. You know how it sounds kind of corny, but I do believe this. The older I get, people have an energy about them.
They truly.
And man, when you walked in the restaurant that night and we sat down, I was like, man, you got good energy.
Likewise,
and I just
way about y'all.
I was like, talking to you was so easy, and it was a lot of times I'm not good at meeting people for the first time. It's awkward. It's like
I'm actually shy. People don't believe that. I'm actually a shy person.
But man, when I met you, I was like, it's like we had met before. Yeah, exactly, you know what I'm saying?
Exactly. It was. I told my mother that. It felt like I already knew.
Yeah, it's an amazing, amazing story. And I firmly believe this. I firmly believe that even though you've been as low as you've been, I mean, you've literally hit that proverbial rock bottom.
I don't think I could have went no lower.
No, I mean,
death.
That's right. I mean, the only way you would have gotten lower, in my opinion, is if you'd have jumped off that bridge.
That was it.
But I look at that and I think God let you go through all of that because He's got a plan now.
Yes.
So you didn't know what the plan was then. And here's the other thing, man. I mean, look, if Bobby Johnson had never done crack, if Bobby Johnson had retired from the NFL, if Bobby Johnson's legacy would have been stats on ESPN, good things could have happened. But I also believe that the people that need to be reached wouldn't have been reached.
Exactly right.
But because you did go through what you went through, you're able to reach people that, like, I can't reach. The guy down the street can't reach.
Yes.
Bobby can reach him, and that's, to me, that's one of the beautiful things, man, about God is, and I say this sometimes in other things that I speak about, but, you look at people in the Bible. God didn't go around going, all right, I need somebody perfect. Who we got here that's perfect that I can, they ain't do that.
Hey, man,
you know what I'm saying?
I know that's right.
God went, all right, man, you messed up.
Exactly.
Like, you a messed up dude. All right, but listen, this is what I need you to go do.
Exactly.
And the whole, I think, man, the whole lesson behind that is it's because it ain't about us.
Thank you.
It's about Him.
Thank you.
And he can take anything and be like, watch what I'm going to do.
Make it wonderful.
And I really feel, man, like that's where you're at now. Like, it's the Super Bowl piece is interesting. It's fascinating. I think it's a piece that, at least in this country, because football is so big, people can they're like, wow, that's cool. That's interesting. But man, what I hope is that somebody listens to this and I hope they go, man, this is fascinating. Bobby Johnson, they're going to go look you up. They're going to get the pictures, all that kind of stuff. They're going to Super Bowl ring. They're going to do all that. But then I hope what they do is they go, man, that's what God can do.
Yes.
And if God can do it for Bobby, I bet God can do it for me. That's the point.
He definitely can. Like I tell people, I only played 3 years. I was addicted longer than I played. You know what I mean?
Right.
So that's more important to me than anything. I'm blessed, and thank God, thank Coach, everybody that I got the ring back. But me getting clean was the hardest thing I ever done in my life. That was way harder than practice. You know what I'm saying? That was way harder than the game.
Yeah.
Getting clean was rough. It was rough. I mean, like I say, I wish it on nobody.
Right.
I continually say that because I mean that. I wish it on nobody. Because the hardest part is getting clean. It's easy to start.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? It's easy to start doing drugs, but it's hard to stop.
Get out.
Exactly.
Yeah. So what's life like for Bobby these days?
Just working and loving life. I'm telling you, man. I enjoy every day of life. I'm living my best life.
Yeah.
Living my best life. Like I said, I was blessed being able to play football and all that, but I love life now. like you say, it was all meant to be. My life was scripted before I was born.
Yeah.
That's why I tell people too.
Yeah.
My life was scripted. God already knew that I was gonna hit that crack that night. You know what this is what I believe. Our life is scripted. God is God, so He already knew it was gonna happen. He just, like I say, He knew it was gonna happen, and He was hoping that I got clean. He let me make that choice.
Right.
But He knew that I was gonna do that crack that night. He knew it.
I like that, Bobby, because it's, to me, that what that shows is God allowed you to make the decision to put the work in to be good at football.
Exactly.
God allowed your mom and dad to make the decision to send you to a Catholic high school to keep you on the right track and protect you from the bad stuff that was in the world. You know, God allowed you to get recruited to go to Kansas so you can stay close to where your mom was at, a positive influence in your life. God allowed the offense to change to an air assault offense to highlight what Bobby has to offer. God allowed you to go to New York and walk on to one of the best, football programs in the country. You know, God allowed Bobby to start from day one to the very last day.
So why should I complain about anything?
There you go. And God allowed you to hit that crack pipe.
Exactly.
And God allowed you to fall.
Exactly.
And God allowed you to pawn your ring. And He allowed you to be homeless and sleep on the street. And He allowed you to stand up on that bridge and make a decision.
Exactly.
Do you trust me or do you not?
Exactly. Exactly.
And then He allowed you to struggle to pull yourself up. But the whole time He's right there with you going, go on, dude, you can do it.
Right there with you.
You can do it. I'm still here.
The whole time.
The whole time, man.
The whole time. That's what, like I say.
And that's why I say, Bobby, now now I really believe God is like, and look, I'm still right here.
Exactly.
And I'm going to allow Bobby to tell the story that he's got to tell now because I know that Bobby can reach people.
Exactly. It's a reason behind it. God is, if you don't know God, you need to know.
Right.
You need to get to know Him.
Right.
Because He controls everything. He is God.
That's right.
He is. You know what I'm saying? He is the man. He is Him. You know what I'm saying? As they say, the kids say now, He's Him.
That's right.
He is the Alpha.
The Alpha and the Omega, the beginning and the end. That's right.
I'm trying to tell you, if you don't understand that, then I'm sorry. But you got to believe.
He changes everything.
He changes, daily. He changing somebody's life right now as we speak.
That's right. That's right.
You know what I mean? As we speak, somebody's life is changing because of Him.
That's right.
As we speak, constantly, daily, 24/7, 365, He's changing somebody's life.
I'm so glad you came today.
Me too,
Bob.
man.
This was good, man. This was good. We've been working for a few weeks to make this happen. I'm so glad we were able to do it, man.
Likewise, man.
As we wrap up, man, if you had to tell people one thing, like what do you tell them? The people that are out there, and I say all people. I mean,
yes,
the people that think they got their life together, but also the people that are struggling, the people that think, like you said, like I'm the only one dealing with this and all that. Like, what does Bobby Johnson say to people?
Go get help the best you can. Because, like I say, some people can afford it. Some people don't have insurance. See, that's another problem with our country. You know what I mean? We don't have enough facilities for everybody. If your insurance ain't good enough, they won't let you in. You know what I mean? I've dealt with all that kind of stuff with the people that I've met. But, don't give up. Stay around great, positive people. Stay around positive people. Your friends are not the people you're getting high with.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Those are not your friends. I don't even care if it's your brother.
Yeah.
If it's your brother and you're getting high with that, you need to stay away from him too.
That's right. There's a saying that I've heard that says, show me your friends and I'll show you your future.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And I hate to say this, I have all my friends, I don't have any. You know what I mean? Because all of them I smoked with. You know what I mean? Yeah. I can't be around them no more. So I really, truly have not too many friends. I hate to say that, but
it is what it is.
It is what it is.
You got to have a new circle.
Exactly. Yeah. I can't go on that side of the town. You know what I mean? I really can't. Because like I said, I'm addicted forever. It might take just the dude like, here you go. You know, it might just take that.
Right.
You know, hopefully I'm strong. You know, I think I'm strong enough to say no, but who knows?
Yeah.
I'm just
Why even test it?
Thank you. I'm just a man.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
But I would cut my damn hand off first. You know, I promise you, I ain't going back. People stay strong. Please believe in God. Believe in yourself. I know you don't want to be like you are if you're addicted. I know you don't. And there's light at the end of the tunnel. There's light at the end of the tunnel. A bright light.
That's good. Bobby, thank you so much for coming and talking to me today.
God bless you, Josh, for this opportunity.
We're going to eat a steak again too, man.
You got to,
we got to plan that.
I know that's right.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, the Josh Crane Podcast, Bobby Johnson, signing off.